Well, good afternoon and welcome to our 77th annual meeting. This October started off like any other October with us distributing over $3 million to you, our members, in the form of capital credit checks. And who out there received those checks this year? Well, after that, the month quickly changed with the news of an impending hurricane in the Atlantic. And given what we've all been through over the last couple of weeks, I feel extremely grateful, humbled, and truly blessed that you are here with us today. Hurricane Hugo was awful. Ice Storm Pax was bad. But Hurricane Matthew has taken us on a wilder ride than we ever dreamed possible right here in the PD region. We were prepared, and we had a plan. Early on in the forecast, crews were headed to South Carolina to stand by our side. However, if our area wasn't hit, we were set to send our crews to help people who might lose power in the lower part of our state. Well, then the predictions for the path of this massive hurricane swung to the right and then back to the left. And suddenly, Matthew's mayhem had wrapped its arms tightly around us. Devastating impacts rained down right here on our own backyards. The results of being inundated by rain, wind, and unbridled flooding proved to be devastating to our beloved region. And by Sunday morning, October 9th, 92% of our members had lost power. Our challenge was made even dire because 24 of our 34 substations lost transmission service as the storm raged. It was soon clear that we were facing different challenges and different consequences than all the storms that had ever come before. Matthew brought several factors that truly created a perfect storm of trouble. For starters, we lost transmission before all the trees started to come down on our distribution lines. And because there was no power flowing through the lines, all of our protective devices, fuses, and so on, didn't blow. Our members in some places wondered why they didn't see our trucks out right away like they had during other storms. Initially, our focus was on the main lines and substations that had power. We had to allocate our linemen, trucks, and other resources to places where substations were not compromised, and we physically could get power back on. After we were able to get transmission back to our substations, we could not let power flow them for the public's safety until those distribution lines were addressed. In the midst of it all, communicating became another challenge. We got so many phone calls from people, it overloaded communication systems. Phone companies were out of power. Cell phone systems were out of power. And without these systems working properly, the calls just don't go through. In some cases, basic lack of access also hindered us. Roads were blocked, washed out, flooded, and some roads couldn't even handle the weight of our trucks. For example, we could not do the work we wanted to out of our J.C. Allen substation up in Dillon because the South Carolina Department of Transportation shut us down from working up there because the roads were too unstable for our trucks. We're not talking about bridges. We're talking about roads themselves. Roadwork zones throughout other areas also hampered our progress long after Matthew moved on. As time passed, there were even more challenges, but we stuck to our plan and the processes we had in place to support it. We steadily chipped away at each challenge, hour after hour and day after day. And by October 16th, everyone who could accept power from us was good to go. Sadly, those in flood zones with accessibility problems and water damage could not be restored until the waters recede. But I'm happy to say that we have crews working in the lower part of Marion County right now, restoring that power where possible. I believe that our success hinged on the aspect of our business that has always made us strong: dedicated, hardworking, never say never people. Our linemen proved what devoted human beings they are. They showed that they are truly here to help. Our local people dedicated themselves to you, working 16 hours a day, even as they faced devastation and problems in their own homes. Our people had to drive mile after mile in difficult conditions to assess the state of our lines. And since the system wasn't energized, we couldn't readily get the kind of information we needed to fix those problems. Crews from as far away as Arkansas and Alabama left their own families to come and work on our behalf. And we reciprocated by working hard to make sure they got hotel rooms, breakfast, lunch, and dinner in places where restaurants weren't open and curfews were in effect. We had people working waist-deep in water all day long trying to restore power. We had people working in boats to restore power. And we had people working in areas where water had never gone before to restore power, all being done as quickly and safely as possible. As you will hear in this video, restoring power due to Hurricane Matthew will go down in history as a Herculean effort from start to finish.
The water conditions are as high as I've seen. Most of our right-of-ways are underwater, roads are underwater, and the only way to get to our stuff and to get to trees is to get a boat and get in there and cut them out. This is an extremely dangerous situation. We keep it in the back of our mind to be as safe as possible at all times, and that again takes a little bit more time to be safe, because we all want to go home and see our families every night. My daughter turned 7 years old Sunday, and of course I was working, and when I got home to finally lay down that night, it was about 1:30. She was asleep, and I haven't seen her since Saturday morning. When we go home at night and lay our head down, that could be our lights that are off. We do it because that's what we do. Knowing that you're helping people, that's why we all do it.
In the aftermath of Matthew, I am left with a tremendous sense of gratitude. I am extremely grateful for the hundreds of linemen, local support staff, contractors, and heroes from other places that put their own lives on hold to come and help us out. Thanks to them, the people of the PD can now get back to some form of normalcy and go on with their lives. I am extremely grateful for the fact that electric companies were offered the services of the National Guard if we needed them to help keep our communities safe. And I am particularly grateful to PD Electric members like you. You dug deep into your emotional fortitude and found the patience to wait for your lights to come back on. You were also helpful in resisting the urge to congregate on the street and refrain from asking questions when you saw our trucks. Anytime the lines are down, it's incredibly helpful to us when you stay back and let our linemen do their work. And there's another thing I am grateful for right here in this room today. I've seen firsthand your ability to keep things in perspective. For most of us in this room, losing a freezer of food is not a tragedy, especially in the light of the numbers of people who have lost possessions, houses, cars, and even their lives from this devastating storm. Your resilience is inspiring. And I'd like to close saying that recent events have convinced me once again that PD Electric has the best employees, the best board members, and your acts of kindness reminded us that we also serve the very best co-op members in the nation. Thank you, thank you, thank you for who you are. Thank you for everything you have done for your family. And thank you for everything you have done and will do for your neighbors and for your community as we continue to recover from the mayhem of Matthew. You're simply the best.